Have you ever really looked at a map and just wondered, what are the stories behind these names? Well, South Carolina's map is something special. It's like a secret code, just packed with history, conflict, and some seriously wild folklore. And in this explainer, we are going to crack that code together. So let's start with a little test. Think of it as a rite of passage. How would you, and be honest here, how would you pronounce these classic South Carolina names? Go ahead, give it your best shot. All right, take a look. We've got Beaufort, Huger, Lagar, and Moultrie. You got your guesses locked in? I'll tell you, it is way trickier than it looks. See, these aren't just random sounds. They're echoes from a really, really specific past. Okay, drum roll. And here are the answers. Beaufort is Beaufort. Huger is UG. Lagari is Lagree. And Moultrie is Moultrie. Hey, if you got any of those right, congratulations. You're already starting to speak the language of South Carolina's history, because these aren't just little quirks, they're actual clues to who settled this land and what was important to them. Now, our guide for this whole adventure is this incredible journal called Names in South Carolina. For decades, it collected thousands of these stories, the big ones and the small ones, basically piecing together the entire history of the state, one name at a time. This thing is our primary source. It's our treasure map. So where do we start? Let's dive into the most dramatic layer of names first, the ones that were born from war and conflict, literally etched right into the landscape itself. You might not realize it, but South Carolina was a massive battleground during the American Revolution. It saw more battles, more skirmishes than almost any other state. This map just shows a tiny fraction of them. The land itself has, in a way, become a memorial to that whole struggle. And of course, conflict creates legends, and sometimes notorious figures. A perfect example is Major William Bloody Bill Cunningham. He was this fiercely partisan loyalist, and his name became totally infamous, attached to this whole trail of brutal raids. It's a pretty stark reminder that history isn't always written by the winners. But of course, the heroes are everywhere on the map too. You see places like Sumter, named for General Thomas Sumter; Marion, for the legendary swamp fox, Francis Marion; DeKalb, for Baron DeKalb, who came from overseas to help; and yep, there it is, Moultrie, named for General William Moultrie, which brings us right back to our pronunciation quiz at the beginning. See, it all connects. But way before any soldiers or settlers from Europe arrived, this land already had names. So for this next layer, we have to go way back to the very beginning, to the land's own language. Okay, take a name like Kiowa. It's a Cherokee place name, and while, the exact translation is still debated a bit, scholars believe it means the place of the mulberries. Isn't that amazing? Hidden in that one single word is this beautiful, simple description of the natural world as the Cherokee people saw it. And this influence is just all over the state, especially when you look at the names of rivers and other natural features. Congaree, Santee, Ediso, Coosawhatchee. These aren't just pretty sounds. They are the enduring linguistic legacy of the first peoples of this land. All right, so layered on top of those foundational names, you get these waves of settlers coming from across the ocean. And each group brought their own language, their own culture, and, you guessed it, their family names, which they stamped all over the map. And one of the most significant groups? The Scots. I mean, check this out. The journal estimates that there are more than 20 million people of Scottish descent in America today. And way back when, South Carolina was a huge center for that settlement. Their impact on the culture was just immense. And you can literally see the diversity of that European settlement right on the map. You've got Scottish names like Abbeville. You have French Huguenot names. Hey, remember Lagar and Huger from our quiz? There they are again. And of course, you have English names like Charleston and even German names like Pomaria and Walhalla. The map really is this incredible mosaic of Old World origins. Okay, so we've covered wars, we've covered ancient languages, we've covered immigration, but sometimes a place gets its name from something a little weirder. So let's get into some of the most wonderful and strange stories from the archive. This is the fun stuff. Here we go. This is a great one. Why on earth would a place be called Pumpkin Town? Right? Was it the Halloween capital of the world? Was there some sort of massive pumpkin-based economy? Nope. The real story is so much better. So, according to local folklore, a traveler who was passing through way back in the 1700s claimed he saw a pumpkin so gigantic that its vine stretched all the way across the Illinois River.
The story goes that, quote, you'd have to name a place so great a pumpkin. And so they did. It's just a perfect, charming, folksy tale that actually stuck.
And the oddities, they do not stop there. How about the town of 96? The best theory we have is that it was, well, simply 96 miles from the key Cherokee town of Kiowee. Or Stinkin' Creek, which, got its name from the foul smell of timber that was rotting after a flood. And maybe my favorite, Due West, which was probably just named for an old, simple trail sign pointing settlers due west. Sometimes the most practical name is the one that lasts forever. So, what does this all add up to? It's a pretty clear conclusion, right? From bloody revolutionary battles and ancient Cherokee words to the family names of French settlers and a legend about a giant pumpkin, every single name on the map is a doorway into a story. So when you look at a map of South Carolina, or really any place, you're not just looking at a guide for how to get from point A to point B. What you're really looking at is a history book. Every line, every label, it's a chapter, just waiting for someone to read it. Which really just leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're driving down a road or you cross a river, just look at the signs, ask the question, what stories are hidden in the names right where you live?